What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bible Vlog. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a great one. This is my son, Ezra. Say hi, Ezra. He's kind of sleeping right now. So I had a very good weekend. This was number 4, and God has blessed us a lot. That may be the best intro I've ever had. All right, guys, well, welcome back. I always said that I wanted 4 kids, and I finally got number 4. We are done. Boy, it really completes our family. I'm so happy that Ezra's here. All right, so Matthew 13 is literally all about Jesus telling parables, or what we would call stories. Now, Jesus was known for doing this throughout almost all of his ministry, and there's a very good reason why. You know, people love stories. They love examples, they love illustrations, because it helps us relate the point of the teaching to our everyday lives. So let me ask you this. Have you ever gone to hear a preacher and after a while you're just like, wow, that's really interesting in your preaching because Well, this is not the way that Jesus taught. You know, Jesus was captivating because everyone could relate to and understand his teaching. Now, of course, miracles, healing, casting out demons, these were all amazing things to see Jesus do, but people sat for hours on end just listening to him speak. If nothing else, let this serve as a reminder to you that if you ever find yourself needing to teach others, use Jesus' example of telling stories and using illustrations. You'll find that stories are able to stick with people more than almost anything else that you say. All right, so starting in on the chapter, Jesus is actually teaching a crowd from a boat. So at this point, the crowds following Jesus have become so massive that he has to separate himself from them by getting into a boat while everyone else stands on the shore. You have to understand that the people were pressing so hard against Jesus just to be close to him that things like this started becoming necessary. Now, in this chapter, Jesus actually goes on to tell 8 different parables. He tells parables about the sower, the wheat and the tares, the mustard seed, the leaven, the hidden treasure, the pearl of great price, the dragnet, and then the householder. Now, each one of these is given to illustrate the kingdom of heaven to the people that he's teaching. Now, after the very first parable, the disciples are wanting to understand why Jesus is teaching this way, so go ahead and look at verses 10 through 13. And the disciples came and said to him, "Why do you speak to the people in parables?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he will have abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him." Now, this might sound confusing, but the purpose of the parables was to make spiritual truths easier to understand. Again, doing this allowed Jesus to help his audience remember the truths of the story that he was telling, and it also allowed him to avoid offending people who otherwise would not have received the truth directly. It also declared judgment on those who chose to willfully ignore his teachings. Now look at what Jesus tells his disciples in verses 16 through 17. "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and for your ears, for they hear. For assuredly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desired to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it." Jesus is referencing the Old Testament teachers and prophets here. These guys would have given their right arm to be able to hear this teaching of Jesus. Now, when we studied the book of Mark, we looked at the parable of the sower. So let's go ahead and look at another one, and then Jesus' explanation of it. Look at verses 24 through 30. This is the parable of the wheat and the tares. "Another parable he put forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemies came and sowed tares, or weeds, among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the weeds also appeared." In verse 27, "So the servants of the owner came and said to him, 'Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' The servants said to him, 'Do you want us then to go and gather them up?' But he said, 'No, lest while you gather up the weeds, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, First gather together the weeds and bind them in bundles to burn them up, but gather the wheat into my barn." All right, so there's the story that Jesus told, but now he goes on to explain to his disciples what it was about. So now look over at verses 36 through 43. "Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, 'Explain to us the parables of the weeds of the field.' He answered and said to them, 'He who sows the good seed is the Son of Man,'" talking about himself. "The field is the world. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom, but the weeds are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels. Therefore, as the weeds are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of this age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and those who practice lawlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of the fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Now this is sobering stuff. Jesus is literally talking about those who follow Christ and those who don't. He says those who are sons of the wicked one and practice lawlessness are going to be thrown into a fire where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. Listen, there are some preachers and pastors out there who never want to mention the word hell in any of their messages, but Jesus clearly warned about it. It's not meant to be taken lightly. The Bible says that God is willing that none should perish. He doesn't want anyone going there, which was the entire point of Jesus coming in the first place. Jesus is our only way to God. All right, one last passage. Look at verses 54 through 58. When he, talking about Jesus, had come to his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished and said, "Where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things?" So they were offended at him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house." Now he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. You know what is happening here? Everyone in this area already knows who Jesus is. In many of these cases, people grew up around Jesus since he was a kid. So to them, he's nobody special. They have an attitude of thinking, oh, Jesus thinks he's somebody now. And the result is that they were offended at him. They didn't believe in what he was teaching, and look at the result. He could not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Now this is crazy. We're talking about Jesus Christ here, but it says he couldn't do it. Guys, I'm telling you, your belief in God's ability is what will determine what you receive from him. Always remember this: to receive from God, you have to believe he is capable of doing what he's promised. It's the only way we receive from God. Boys and girls, it's been a long chapter today and an even longer weekend for me. But that is going to wrap it today for us with chapter 13. Thank you as always for joining us today. Come back tomorrow for chapter 14. Many more cool miracles Jesus is about to perform. Hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. God bless you guys. Thank you as always for joining us. We will see you back here tomorrow.